I'm going to call to order the 2488th meeting of the Darien Police Commission. It is a special meeting, so we will stick to our agenda. We were in executive session to do entry-level interviews. We had some personnel issues. We did not take any votes. And here we are, public session. Acceptance of minutes of January 9th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments, additions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence, Chief.
Yeah, we have a couple items of correspondence. First, back on Monday, January 27th, I received a letter from the Executive Director of Darien Emergency Medical Services commending a few of our officers that were sent to the Woodway Country Club on a recent morning where, unfortunately, one of their members collapsed and went into cardiac arrest after a sporting event there. Our officers responded swiftly, and although his heart was not breathing and he was not breathing upon our arrival, they continued CPR and medical treatment throughout the incident, and by the time he was transported to the hospital, he was actually speaking to medical personnel in the ambulance. So he wanted to commend our officers for their outstanding efforts, combined with the teamwork of all the other first responders that were there, was instrumental in that patient's recovery. Great work by Officer Cummings, Officer Arello, Officer Hunt, and Officer Cook. Next, received a letter thanking us for our participation in a panel to hire to hire for the position of detective for the Newtown Police Department. It's kind of a common practice where other agencies will ask to have some of their personnel, supervisory personnel, participate in these hiring panels and promotional panels, and that was for Lieutenant Nicholas Aranzulu, again, assisting with an oral board examination for the position of detective at the Newtown Police Department. Great work by Lieutenant Aranzulu. We received our annual recertification for retaining the status of compliance in minimum standards of the Department of Public Health in the areas of training, equipment, and personnel. I believe that gives us our first responder status, and it's up for renewal each year. So I know Officer Administrator Labella worked very hard on getting the proper compliance documents in order and sent them off to the right people. We appreciate that. So we have another year as a first responder status.
Excellent.
And also, apparently, we had fruit delivered by the Rowan Center in Stamford, and we sent off a thank you note. We appreciate that from the Rowan Center. And that's all I have for correspondence.
Any questions, comments? And we shall move on. Department activity, Captain.
Okay, this is from January 8th through February 5th of this year, prepared by Lieutenant White. Some notable incidents. On January 10th, a Stamford resident was arrested for electronic stalking after placing an Apple AirTag in his estranged wife's vehicle and tracking her movements via cell phone. This is the second incident in recent weeks of a case involving electronic stalking, with both incidents well investigated by members of the Patrol Division. On January 11th, approximately 11:39 hours, officers responded to a residential burglary on Allan O'Neal Drive. The victim stated that his electric scooter was taken from a locked storage unit, which was located in the basement of the apartment. That incident is under investigation. In March of 2024, officers responded to a shoplifting incident at CVS, 964 Post Road, where nearly $2,900 worth of hair care products were stolen by a female suspect. Subsequent investigation by the Detective Division identified a Bronx, New York resident as the suspect. An arrest warrant was granted, and on the 17th of January, Darien detectives responded to York Correctional Facility to take the suspect into custody. She was processed for various criminal charges and posted a $50,000 bond and was released from custody. On January 22nd, department personnel partnered with the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services Tobacco Prevention and Enforcement Program to conduct an unannounced compliance inspection of establishments that sell tobacco products or electronic cigarettes. The inspections were performed in an effort to determine compliance with state laws concerning the prohibition of the sale of e-cigarettes and tobacco products to youth under the age of 21. 16 compliance inspections were conducted, with one establishment on Rowan Ave found to be non-compliant and was subsequently cited. On January 25th, officers responded to the Woodway Country Club pickleball court on a report of a male subject who is in cardiac arrest and unresponsive. This is what the chief was discussing earlier. Officers Cook, Arello, Cummings, and Hunt arrived on scene and continued CPR that was being performed by a civilian, and officers administered further first aid to include an AED, chest compressions, and oxygen. With the assistance of Post 53, the subject regained consciousness and became alert and oriented and was transported to Stamford Hospital, where he is expected to fully recover. On February 2nd, at approximately 03:30 hours, officers responded to a forced entry burglary at 211 Post Road, the mobile gas station. 3 male subjects forced open the front door with a pry bar, stole approximately $114 in cash and merchandise, and attempted to pry the ATM from the floor, but were unsuccessful before fleeing the scene. The incident is under investigation. Some statistics from that same period: we had 5 domestic disturbance incidents, 3 domestic violence incidents, 5 identity theft incidents, 5 motor vehicle burglaries, 1 unlocked and 4 were attempted, 2 stolen motor vehicles, 17 motor vehicle accidents, none with injury, 197 traffic stops, and 1,081 calls for service. During the same time period, Officer Katrina Cook, who's currently in field training, is progressing well and should be ready to complete field training in the next few weeks.
Want to elaborate on anything?
Just a couple of quick things. Clearly, it shows our patrol officers are not only performing well when they need to react to certain types of calls for service, but we're also remaining very proactive when it comes to traffic enforcement and other community engagement type activities. So I thank the patrol division for working as hard as they have through the holidays, through the cold weather. And I know I say it pretty regularly, but the detective division continues to do a good job. And I know we remember some of the bigger, higher profile incidents that occur, like the burglaries and the stolen cars and some of the chases or whatever, but we do follow-ups on even the smaller events like larcenies from CVS. And we may not solve those cases the next day or the next week, but they all work. They treat them all just as important as the higher profile ones, and they make some progress and complete some good work there, so I appreciate their efforts. And I'm sure the residents of town appreciate their efforts as well.
Okay. Public comment, there is no one here. So, old business building issues update. Captain.
Not too bad. We just had one of our heating units in our bulk evidence room failed. Maintenance personnel inspected it and determined that repairs aren't an option, so it's going to need full replacement. It's not a very large system, and there's one already down there, so there's a couple down there. So it's the temperature's still controlled, but at some point going to have to replace the second one. Just to give you an update with our facility coordinator, we did select a very suitable candidate. We're in the background phase at this point. So once everything runs smoothly, we get this candidate on board, and then we're going to look into the facility mechanic. We have 2 suitable candidates for that position, so we'll be selecting one of them.
And for the coordinator, Captain, would that person start at the end of the month, do you think, after a background check, or sooner than that? Or later, perhaps?
I like to think so. I mean, the background check on our end is pretty quick. There's a few things that the candidate will have to do with HR.
Okay.
That might take a week or 2, but
Soon.
I think that's a fair timeline right there. That's about it.
Excellent. Okay, traffic issues. We have some photographs from Holly Lane, but I think I'm going to table that because the resident is not here, and I think we had a couple of questions. So that brings us to Connecticut DOT Centerline Rumble Strip. Who's taking the lead on that?
I could take the lead on that. So the state had State of Connecticut Department of Transportation reached out to us about a new project. They began with the installation of centerline rumble strips on locally owned roads, so on municipal roads, not just the state roads. As many residents probably have already noticed, Tokenique Road, 136, which is a state road, the state has installed this rumble strip technology. I don't know if that was in a response to some serious crashes we've had involving vehicles crossing the double yellow line over the past year, but it did qualify and met the criteria for the traffic safety enhancement, which is involving really a grinding down of the double yellow line and kind of reinstalling. I mean, you probably see it on the side I-95. If you go out of lane too much, your tires you get that rumble sensation. So they've identified Ledge Road from the stretch of Norotan Avenue down all the way to the Post Road as being a suitable and qualified road and location, meeting all the
This is the
criteria.
state qualifications. This is, they're doing this analysis.
Correct. The state did all analysis, pulled all the data, and it does qualify for this rumble strip enhancement on the double yellow line. I don't know what the timeline looks like, but I know that Public Works believed that it was a good idea, and maybe even exploring other areas of town. This is a state program. It's fully funded by the state. And they are looking for approval to move forward with this program for Ledge Road. So they're looking for approval from the Legal Traffic Authority. There's 3 phases of this program if it moves forward. The first phase was the initial screening, which the state has already done. Phase 2 is the municipal outreach, which they're reaching out to us to see if we want to participate in the program, which is not mandatory. And then there'll be phase 3, and that if there's approval given, they'll begin the implementation plan. And that's where we stand.
Is the speed limit over 35 there? I'm just looking at the qualifying.
It is 35.
It's 35.
And I was under the impression it needed to be over 35, which would mean it wouldn't qualify for any road in town because we don't have any above 35. They said 35 or above.
And have they provided any crash data for Darien specifically, why they suggested, or?
They did not. They just simply claimed that the data that they pulled regarding our crashes on Ledge Road, and I'm not even sure the period of time, did meet the criteria for this program.
Okay.
Is it possible to, I mean, independent of whether we approve it or not, is it possible to get their data?
I would think so. We've been back and forth with them a few times asking them for additional information. But yeah, I can ask for the crash. I don't believe they've given that to us yet. I don't doubt that the
Yeah.
data meets their
No, I was
criteria,
not,
but
that was not my intent of the question. I just think it would be
I could put a
interesting
request in for that.
to look at what they're looking at.
Okay.
I mean, especially if they, I don't know, be, why that road and not our other roads, and I don't know, be interesting to see what they're pulling. So we need to approve to allow the state to do this.
Correct.
Okay. Questions, comments, any additional information anyone wants before putting it to a vote?
Well, I think, my opinion, unless you guys want to do a vote now, I would like to see the data, to your point, just the, qualifying criteria, right? Greater than 35 miles per hour, I guess it's greater than or equal to, right? Number 1. 2, I guess we have more than 1,500 vehicles there, I presume, right? A day. And then the crash history, they're talking about head-on collision, opposite direction side swipes, crossover roadway departure. And it'd be helpful to see if there's any data that is that specific criteria, that's all.
Are we allowed to table this until we get that data?
Yep.
I just don't know if there was a window.
It is what it is. It's going to change our,
Yeah, I think if they're saying it meets their criteria, I would say, or make a recommendation to the commission to approve it, provided the data they're going to give us meets what
It's
their
valid.
criteria
Yes.
is.
fine.
That sounds like a good
And
solution.
I will ask for that tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I make a motion that we approve the state installation of the centerline rumble strips on Ledge Road
Pending data validation.
pending data review, data analysis, data, however you want to
Move
say
to
it.
approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, any other? Did they have a timeline for when they were?
They have not informed, they've been waiting on us.
Okay, well, then let's, I don't want to make them wait
And
too
I
long.
don't really know
Yeah,
how long that takes
no.
to,
Who knows? All right.
and I could try and find that out as well.
Yes, actually, if you could find out, get the data and their proposed timeline, we will conditionally approve it and go from there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Gorham's Pond Project.
I'll take that. Assistant Director of Public Works, Darren Ostafine, reached out just to say that they found they need to do emergency repairs to Gorham's Pond Dam. They're looking to do the work towards the middle of February. They don't have an exact date yet. Most of it will take place from a barge, and some work will periodically disrupt traffic. So they attached traffic control plans to include officers on scene if they have to go down to one lane. So they're requesting, they're not requesting any closures at this time. Or any detours. They're probably just gonna have alternating traffic in that area. But you never know, if things go south and they need to close roads, they put a plan together, so, I told them I'll just let legal traffic know and you guys can take a look at it.
So we don't need to approve that, they're doing that, and we just are being alerted that there will be
Right.
potential traffic.
Right, traffic slowdown in the area.
Inconveniences in that area.
Right.
All right,
For
but
how
with-
long?
It doesn't say, doesn't say how long.
They did assure us that at the end of each workday that the roads would be fully opened up. I don't know if you mentioned that.
No, I
was reading
didn't,
this.
yeah, they're only doing it during the day, both lanes open at night.
And potential, the plan is no closure, so
No
no detours
closures
in this.
at
so
this
it's just
point,
a matter- Okay, we don't approve it, we just are being alerted to that?
Right.
Okay. Good to know, mid-February, daytime. Okay. New business, alarm fund request from our social media officers for up to $700 for promotional items such as little squishy police cars and badges and coloring books
Yes.
and the
So-
like.
What's that?
And the like.
Yeah. So now with our two social media officers, we're doing more Coffee with a Cop, more events. We're looking to get out into the public a little more often. And we've run out of some of our supplies, so we want to
I think that is a very good use.
purchase a couple more.
Very good use of our funds. I move that we approve up to $700 to replenish our supply of giveaways for our public events.
Second.
Anything, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Being a special meeting, that comes to the end of our agenda. Only thing left is coming up with our next meeting. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is in
20th.
2 weeks, on the 20th. That's what this says, but,
That's right.
yep.
That's winter break.
So we're not going to meet then.
We can. Just saying.
I'm not here.
No, people seem to,
Yeah, break is what's, yeah,
17th to 21st.
yes, yeah.
I am not here on the 27th. Can we have it on March 6th, which is a regular scheduled meeting?
Works, yeah.
March 6th? Team?
It's good for me.
Okay, let's call it March 6th. 4 PM. Awesome. With that, we are adjourned.